friends. How's your spirit? Um, there's been a lot going on out here in a very short amount of time. Um, yeah, I decided to go live specifically on YouTube because it's you I've been talking to about what it is to be a man or a woman now, right? And I do that by way of being a female representation of an advocate for men's rights in a mostly male dominated space, which they don't appreciate because they seem to believe that they know about more about raising a man than a mother of men. There's this song, getting to the industry rather quickly, right? I think it's okay, Michelle, you can't raise a man. You can't. Because if you meet a man and you try to raise him up or train him up to be anything other than the man that he already is, you failed before you even started. Someone else already raised, created, put the information into him. We're going to start to think of human beings as download. Okay, let's get some gamer speak going. Okay, because I'm starting to get irritated with the background noise. Okay. So we all know what an NPC is. If we don't, that's a non-player character. The majority of society is made up of non-player characters. So they can't have any information downloaded into them either. That's why they just be hitting back and making noise and doing all type of weird stuff when they get new information because they don't understand it. They can't process it. It's the thing like when you ever seen like in the video game where things glitch in that one spot, it's because something is trying to put information there that doesn't belong. Okay, those of you who are Gen X, one of these things is not like the other. Okay, keeping the beat with me. Here we go. Because me, I had an Atari when I was a child, so I was a very privileged young black woman at a very early age. Not just because my parents were in the United States military, my stepfather. However, my biological father came from money. My godparents had money by way of Delta Gas, and then my godmother, who was actually my foster parent, even though they hid that from me, she was my daycare provider. So how did I know that she was my foster parent and not just my daycare provider? Because I lived with her Monday through Friday. On the weekends, I was able to go live with my parents and my siblings and then come back. It's because they mistreated me as a small child. I would be with my godparents and I would get chunky. And then I would go to my parents' house and they would starve me. Intentional. And they did have a difference in money, so to speak, but not so much so that over a weekend they couldn't afford to feed. It was just a way of controlling a child's happiness. Because I'd usually come back with something that my siblings didn't have, although all three of us had godparents. I had great ones. Mine were actually my foster parents, and they had tried to adopt me, which is the other reason that I know that they were my foster parents, and not just my godparents. Because my godparents would have just waited for my parents, or said, "Hey, look, listen, they're gonna be with me eventually. The way you out here acting, well, just gonna take them now." Type of shit. But you know, government. And it's because my mother and my biological father were not married. And my mother also was a teenage mother in the 1970s. I believe my eldest sibling, whom I do not know, may have been born in 70. My mother was born in 54, which would have made her 16. In Tennessee, the age of consent was 14. Everywhere else, federally, that's a crime. So the feds would have possibly swooped in then because the DCS, the number of children, the last name Paxton, and a few other reasons. Okay, and then you get to me later on down the line, which is why the two siblings in between, or the sibling in between and the other, don't end up in foster care. I'm different. I want you, right? That brings us to this moment in history, where I continue to talk to you about the industry. I've said repeatedly that I am the government psyops baby. People in this city didn't believe me. If you don't know what psyops means, that's psychological operations. I am a psychological warfare angel. Is how someone wants to say it. I'm okay with that narrative. Just please understand what it actually means. Because of my ESP, which is not limited simply to being psychic and or telepathic, um, I have always been in the government's care and or custody. My godmother had control of me physically. I believe it was 3 weeks, um, which means I was either in the hospital or whatever it was for 3 weeks, and then I went into my godparents' home. And you've heard me say on original live stream on JP, the Aspiring Matriarch, that I have met my federal agents through the years. And to the point, at one point, when I was old enough, grown enough, they began introducing them into my life as potential partners. If you've ever seen the television show Orphan Black, I would be the black that was orphaned. My biological father was a Scientologist. He told me my mother was a gift to him on his birthday. We're from Memphis, Tennessee, making easy money, pimping hoes and style. See? But yet you need to understand something. That's a mindset, not a specific action that took place. But it is the mindset of the majority of the men coming out of my city of origin. So many of those men throughout my life and men since then have treated me like a prostitute. Not because I was one, but because they thought that their money was what made me be with them. You see, in my ex-husband's case, he thought because he was light skinned, he had a long black lineage, that his eventual inheritance from whomever on his side was making him enticing to me. While in the moment, my mother was dying, and he knew that I would be inheriting directly. See, the blue blood and upper crust of black society is as nasty as the white people, baby. They learned it from somebody. See? That's that Paxton in me. And Ken's gonna want to talk to me, but he keep acting silly. It's all right, Ken. I know you're going through a lot. I mean, I had to go through. Technically, Ken, we're going through the same thing. I'm going through a divorce too, from a light skin, just like you. Maybe tap into your blackness, Ken. Not as whack as you think. You see, and then you can reach way, way deep and get down into your indigenousness, and we can talk about my grandmother Clara and what you know about being disowned because she married more, literally and figuratively, because we're talking about history repeating itself and or not. See, for the first time in history, I'll be telling the entire truth about the bloodline. Ken, Karen, isn't that funny? Come on, Karen and Ken, my older sister and my white cousin. The thing that's weird though is that Karen starts. Yeah. Oh, but you know, that great white hype thing. No offense, this hate to tell everybody this. You don't try, but I knew it. Mm. Hey, Donnie, how you doing today? We good out here. I smoked enough cannabis that I am not upset. as the thing that Tucson has done today. I'm going to say this as much as it tickles my spirit to do so. They were wrong about me, and it seems they were wrong about you too. They really thought that they could force you to believe that because I was black, that I was something dangerous and you needed to attack. When you didn't do that, they sold you a bill of goods that wasn't true. They used Anton Daniels, Angela Stanton King, Kwame Brown, and a host of other people in the industry. This is starting to ring true, right? All the way up to Beyonce and Jay Z. My sibling, Karen, yeah, she got a car named Beyonce. She bought it, cash. We're looking at it. But let me tell you a secret, because this is where it gets interesting. And we talked about the magic part of it and the dimensions. Okay, you purchase something outright and you name it. And this is my mother who made this famous "Let's Claim It." Okay, my mama said if you don't name it, you'll lose it. So my elder sister purchased a vehicle and named it Beyonce. And Beyonce belongs to her today by way of witchcraft. Now, whether or not Diva knew that when we discussed this is an entirely different thing. See? But Diva, do you remember um, the Fresh Prince? Diva! That's what I call my older sister. She calls me Jean. It's one of those familial things. So when you see it, you can recognize it. But my sister's name is Karen. Now, the woman that was on the television show with Will, wasn't her name Karen? She was a Parson rather than a Paxton. She was a person rather than Starseed. See? Keep a beat with me, okay? We're doing a little bit of travel. The point of this being, I was always industry adjacent. I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. My godparents lived near Stax Records. My father is a Scientologist. That would make me industry connected by 1 degree. My biological father is in the photo with Isaac Hayes, you see? Isaac Hayes III created fan base and then decided to join the industry and coming for me. Because I didn't go there to make money. This was never about money. This was about leaving my legacy because I knew that I was dying. And I had a revelation. John 2:22, Revelations 19 and 1. And someone said to me, write a book. That's what it took. It takes three. Right? There was always this gentleman in my life, whom I also called a black Republican. He told me I would write a book. He chose his nickname for the book. When I spoke about writing a book with my cousin Demario, he told me I should write a book about cannabis. And then just around my death, a third person on the internet said, write a book. If you think you can do it fast. I did. That's the first year. They stole it. They thought they had it. They had no idea it was connected to the president, this community outreach piece, what I was doing for a living, or my business. You see, they didn't know. Ooh, uh-oh, uh-oh. Well, y'all had to know. Y'all didn't know? Okay, so when I left North Carolina, I told my siblings and my father I was going to write a book about cannabis. Yeah, because you could make money legally without ever having to sell the flower. See, but by the so they didn't tell you that that's what I came here to do. That's exactly what I came here to do, and that's exactly what I've done, hun. And I created an entire university. Your world is shrinking right now as we speak. See, Net Streamer University built off of my streaming classes from back then have progressed all the way to this moment in history where he'll now be charged with a federal offense. That's an intellectual property, baby. You bent the knee so that Jay Z, Snoop Dogg, and the rest of them have an opportunity to get reparations by way of cannabis and cut me out, bruh. You were gonna go with Truly or one of these dispensaries that be putting y'all on. So when I put Mike Tyson on by saying I appreciated what he did with that whole Jake Paul situation, right? Y'all got mad, so y'all tried to blast this Tyson. What you looking asses? I know you didn't. We don't need to come out swinging, baby. We got this. Look at the state of cannabis as it exists. Do you see anybody trying to be like Snoop Dogg today? Them 2 Chainz videos from back when COVID, when we was all sitting down smoking. Is anybody doing that? Who's trying to spend their money to get green sync? Remember, that was free government money with that stimulus. So why would anybody base their business off of the stimulus? The financially illiterate. Oh, hmm. The ones that were online with Anton Daniels and his Patreon at the time. And what makes it so bad is look at how many black celebrities got caught up in it. But I told you that around 70% of the American population is financially illiterate. And considering that we've only got a poor class and an upper class, well, that means that includes our upper class. Dumbass. Who do you think that they were taking the majority of the money from, if not the athletes? Why do you think they got them so young and dumb? Hun? The reason why they sacrificed Kobe is because he was a military brat, and his daddy taught him better than that. His actual daddy. In the case of the other guy, I do believe that's his stepfather, Shaquille. Also, though, Shaquille bent the knee to a fraternity, which kind of negates any oath that his family members took in the United States military. Because he would have followed their lead and not the lead of the person who was in the military. He would have seen more prestige in it than being a military veteran's child or affiliated at that time. Now he wants to be military affiliated and he can kick rocks. I'll drop him from a building first. Go back to being a cop along with what that boy name is. Kwame Brown. See how much I don't give a shit about you, bro. Don't come around me no more. Full effect, straight. Don't come around here. Just because my sibling likes to bend the knee for athlete D doesn't mean that I do. There's nothing about you that concerns me except the fact that you stole mama's cooking from me. Which is why you're insane, hot, kid, and caboodle with Kai Cenat, Anton Daniels, and all the rest of them dummies. Intellectual property theft. And then you tried to have me keep repeatedly. Up to this morning. I posted it online so we have a timestamp. See, every time that you harass me, gang stalk or bully me, that falls under the same original crime of attempting to kill me. See, I know y'all think y'all gonna get off for attempted murder. Murder, ladies and gentlemen, is the actual case that they gave Mr. Brodus. It's the case that he'll be getting this go round too. because of what happened at Nirvana, right? Little girl smoking inside. That was a setup to get me and my business caught up because y'all haven't caught up yet on how to deal with cannabis legally. You're still having to go back to your homies on the streets selling. Damn straight, I'm about to dead that shit. Legal cannabis is where it is, bitch. Here's the thing. You can grow cannabis legally in your home. So there is no reason for anyone to be out here bending the knee for an eighth and some chicken wings. See? I told you. Aunties be spilling them beans. And our auntie, after the passing of her child, pardon me, assassination of Demario Perkins in Memphis, Tennessee, by the Memphis Police Department, she decided to start running her mouth to me. Because my father, stepfather, her brother, biologically, used her life as a cautionary tale, see? So she started filling in the blanks. I ain't say much. I just tipped my hat and said thanks. She tried to eat off me. I built an organization for her. It failed, apparently, because Terrence Muhammad reached out to me and I said, go help my auntie. No, they moved on and that's fine with me, honey, because I'm not an Hebrew Israelite. Once I had their cup of tea, we met a couple times. They had to come at me with the Bible and I like to have to hurt them a bit. Now, some of them are cool. Jason and the Argonauts. No, that is Jason. Argonauts. Argonauts on a boat. Astronauts on a flight, ship, space, me, weed. Shoo. I'm the one who created the concept of catching flight when it comes to smoking weed. Because you got food flights and all this other stuff, right? You hear 'em? Hit dogs is hovering right now. It's new information. They thought they got away with it. They just knew that they was gonna have a native nation that didn't include my pretty little brown ass. And if it did, well, I'd be sitting at the back instead of the head of the class. But when it comes down to who's truly indigenous, there was Princess Sacagawea and Pocahontas. Po- uh, if you're mad at me, it's the patois. See, you have to understand the origin of the languages that we are speaking in this country. Every tribe said, let's just say, had their own language. And then the Europeans came over here and they met the indigenous. The Europeans went back to their tents or ships or wherever it was, right, at night. And then they talked to each other about how they talked to you. And in order to get Pocahontas to open her legs, he was like poking at your highness. He couldn't get me. So he started poking around, hunting. That's what men do when they hunt. They haunt spots. They're there, but they're not there until they're there. And then you created ghosts, and we get ghosts haunting people in 2026. That's really as simple as it is. Now, that's magic in the long and short form, pretty quick. I don't know what time it is on the clock. But if you take all of that, and then you remember that Jay Z's wife, Beyonce, admits to her voodoo history. And then the industry made American X, I think it is, with Angela Bassett. Uh-huh. And then she performs the Wakanda X thingy at the Super Bowl at the same time, getting all of y'all to die right in line. And then she finds out that she's only got this one more chance to do that thing. She puts out the video to match the every song, and that's an album, and it's a piggybacking off of the work, so to speak, instead of creating something new like they used to have to do. Otis Redding and my favorite crew. 8 industry artists in the Bahamas passed away on a flight. Let's see if we can get to 8. Sean Carter, Beyonce Knowles. Y'all don't want me to go no further? What do you mean you don't want me? There you go. Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Kamala Harris. We need 3 more. I gave you 3 yesterday. Amy Coney Barrett, Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh. That's 8 people who could otherwise be industry affiliated. He had to sacrifice 8 innocent people so that they could stay alive and siphon my energy because they thought that I was dead and y'all were just spreading it amongst yourselves. Yes, they just now realize that they've been drinking poison out this thing. Because I've always been industry connected, and my ex husband is industry connected. See, by way of Tri Cities High School. When I said that I am the prototype, that's because one of the members of Outkast went to school with my ex husband. See, behind the scenes, they all went on to have creative activities, and he became a stable husband. We became the prototype for Black love in the music industry. They didn't know he was being violent towards me until they knew that he was being violent towards me, and then factions were formed and so on and so forth. So I became amused, as did he. He just wasn't amused. So when he got around T.I. and decided that he wanted to be a comedian, and T.I. bombed because there's similar lived experience, then they had to come and seek me out because I'm the funny member of the family, and the children are on my side. See? So there's no innocent energy to siphon, steal from, create without me. Now, why would I be involved in the industry when they've been trying to cut my head off? Why? Because I defeated Sony when no one else could. Just me, all alone, way back then. And when I beat Sony, they stole more of my money. Sony UMG belongs to me, as does YouTube, the majority of Facebook, parts of Elon Musk's program, and a few others, you see. Then there's my inheritance owed to me, along with reparations for being a Paxton. Those come in 2 different categories, you see. I'm a Paxton, I was entitled to an inheritance when my mother passed away, and then there's reparations for the fact that my mother's family line section was disowned because Clara married a dark-skinned black man, my grandfather, Jennings Booth Moore, who was well to do because he was delivering flowers to Elvis Presley in Memphis, Tennessee. Again, industry related. I say adjacent because it's not important to me, but it's important to you people. Because now you can do the math in your head, right? You can see it. Without me, there is no industry at the bottom or the top. You said that Drake was a plant. Yeah. So it's Kendrick Lamar. They needed a light skinned, dark skinned star. They needed somebody to crucify. That's why J. Cole and Childish Gambino. Because they had to do the actor side too. They just threw a lot of, yeah, that's what they do, child. Crossover artists, you notice how they're usually black artists? How many of your white artists are getting into acting? You have Miley Cyrus, but her daddy was already doing that singing thing. And so she was an industry baby. Did he say it best? He ain't wanted for nothing since he turned gay, which means he wasn't burned gay or born that way. Okay. This is where we are today. So, respectfully to everybody, welcome to a new day in history where I own all this shit, regardless of whether or not you recognize it now or later. Do me a favor. Don't come around me pretending to be my cousin's skin folk or kinfolk. They come calling me looking for nothing. I don't do handouts. I only do handouts, and only to those who are worthy. If you came against me in any way, shape, form, or fashion, as I offered the gentleman earlier, take it yourself. You can take my knife. You can go on down the street and get one. You can go to police and turn yourself in. Either way, the death penalty is going to be it in the end. I believe in euthanasia. The reason why I don't ascribe to it, forgive me, is because you can't trust nobody. See, imagine if I had a DNR, I'd be dead, dead. Imagine had I laid down and let the white Western medical institution do all of the drug pushing that they've been doing on my beautiful indigenous behind. That's what the tribes are, man. They took that money a long time ago. They studied their own growth for a casino, for a check. They turned the majority of you into alcoholics. They turned the others into predators. That's why you're prey today. See? And again, weren't we always prey? Indigenous men, women, and children, because we own this shit. And without us, they cannot make sense of it. They've never been able to. We helped them survive the very first storm. They're mad because I won't help them survive this. Can I get a witness?